Intensive outpatient treatment for mental health can look like this.
Holy shit.
Or it can look like this. Or anywhere else on the spectrum of this crushing reality of mental illness. But it's not actually quite as scary as you might think it is. Don't get me wrong, this getting help thing is terrifying. But what is more terrifying is not trying, not healing, continuing to live this torturous existence that's not even half of a broken piece of a life. Because if we're not taking our mental health seriously, if we're not feeling it and accepting it and addressing it, if we're not fighting against it tooth and nail, then that's all we have. Not even half of a life. I don't know about you, but aren't you tired of just surviving? Of waking up every morning, dreading the day ahead, of walking around with this cloud over your head and falling asleep at night, hating yourself instead of counting sheep, right? Because I'm sick of it. Literally, I am sick with it. And I feel like I am finally ready to take it by the horns and smash it face first into the dirt at my feet, because that's how much this misery is worth. And I'm washing my hands of it. It'll take a while to get them clean, but I am done with this less than half of a life. Look, I'll be honest. I didn't want to start intensive treatment for my mental health. I didn't want to admit that I need it, that I have to do this, or I'm risking my life, my happiness, my future. And like I've said before, this is reality, and none of us can escape our mental health no matter how much we try. I can't even tell you how many months ago my therapist, of 7 years, by the way, encouraged me to admit myself into a inpatient mental health hospital. But I waited and waited and waited because I thought that I could do this by myself, like I've done everything else in my life. I thought that I could grit my teeth, pull my pants up, and tough it out until this chapter of my life closed. But that's wishful thinking. There's no skipping ahead when it comes to this. And I thought the same thing too when I actually applied for Social Security disability income. I thought that I wasn't sick enough, that this wasn't that bad, that if I just changed this or that in my life, that my health would improve. But it didn't, because my brain is sick. And I had to accept that I need help, that I need to be kind to myself and show myself mercy, because I deserve, and you deserve help. Better. You deserve better than this. We deserve better than this. And that's hard. But it's also one of the reasons that I'm in front of you right now, sharing this little piece of my life. And it's also one of the reasons that I'm still here today at all. Now, from the time my therapist started encouraging me to admit myself up until just a few months ago, I wasn't ready for it. I had it in my head that I could keep working on things the way that I was, and that would be enough. But it wasn't, and it hasn't been for a long time. And at a certain point, after talking with my support system over and over and over again, I finally decided to try something new. As you guys might know, I switched over to a different psychiatrist that my therapist recommended. And she took me so seriously that within the first 30 minutes of meeting her, she asked me what I thought of inpatient hospitalization. Within 30 minutes of meeting me for the first time, she understood that my mental health and my mental illnesses are so severe that I need an intensive treatment program. And I did explain to her that because of certain trauma in my past and because of the way that my dissociative identity disorder functions and a couple other things, I really felt and I feel like hospitalization wouldn't help me the way that it's meant to or the way that I want it to. So instead, she ended up recommending me to an intensive outpatient treatment program. It took a while to get the insurance stuff figured out, much more on my side than the clinic side. But after I got that done, I mean, the outpatient center scheduled me for an intake appointment the very next day. Then the day after that, they started me on the treatment program. It actually recommended me partial hospitalization. And at this particular clinic, that would have meant 6 hours a day at the center, 5 days a week. And I would have done it if I could have, if I thought that with my chronic illnesses, I was capable of it, but I'm not. And so, I was just honest with them that I thought, that amount and that intensive type of treatment or partial hospitalization was, possibly going to do more harm than it would do good with my chronic illnesses and what I suffer with. And so instead, I ended up joining the intensive outpatient program, which turned out to be a little bit over 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. So if you've been wondering where I've been or why I haven't, been as active online, this is why. This first week, the first week of July, was my first full or almost full week of intensive outpatient treatment. And I can't even lie. My experience with the center has been truly unbelievable in the best way. I had no idea what to expect, but I feel like I can't even list all of the positive things about the program and the recovery center. I have met with all of the women who are running the facility, including the program and facility directors, the coordinated care manager, the nurses, and I've had appointments already this week with my therapist and psychiatrist that were assigned to me within the program. And every single person that I met was, again, just beyond my expectations. And I had no idea, of course, like what I was coming into when I started. But after a week and just after that week, I genuinely feel like this is something that will help me, to some extent at least, if not, hopefully the extent that I'm, again, hoping for. So on the daily now, I am going to a psych ed class. I'm going to group therapy sessions, and I'm doing this among other patients who, actually want to be there. They're, just like me in the sense that they are dedicated to getting better, to learning and then applying those lessons to life, to healing for themselves and for the people around him. These people are dedicated to living an actual life. All of our lives are different, right? These patients that I am in the treatment and recovery center with are from all walks of life, with different backgrounds and styles and identities. But every one of the people I'm working to heal alongside struggles differently. But we're all in this thing together. We're all working towards something better, something hopeful. And honestly, that first day in the program, sitting in that room in group therapy and listening to everyone's experiences and perspectives, and just knowing that we're all there seeking help, it was the first time in a long time that I didn't feel so lonely. And that is exactly why I'm trying to be more open about this part of my life. Because you and I, no matter how different our experiences or our struggles are, we are doing this together. Yeah, okay, we all die alone. But until then, there's a whole life to live side by side with each other. And if being more real here can help you feel any little bit less alone, or me, well, I'm here. If you want to treat it like your own personal group therapy session, if you want, let's talk. Yeah, I am excited about starting this intensive outpatient program because I need help, and this actually gives me real actionable hope for that. But it's not quite as pretty as, my words maybe have made it seem. The work is ugly. It's exhausting. It's heavy. It is learning hard lessons that hit deep. It is spilling your guts to a room full of strangers. It's letting your sea of emotions just crash over you until you feel like you're drowning. But it's also beautiful and exhilarating. It's a burden you no longer have to carry alone. It's being known. It's cutting your heart open and bleeding until you cry, but it's also putting the broken pieces to rest in peace. I do understand that I am incredibly lucky in my experience so far with this program. The fact that there's even a treatment center in my area at all, that my insurance, covers a portion of it, that the actual center and the program are so positive and helpful and healthy. This is an aspect of healthcare that is genuinely very, very difficult to find. And I am so beyond grateful that I have access to it because most people don't. So I'm not saying, oh, if your mental health is bad, just go to a treatment center or something stupid, right? What I'm saying is that no matter what you're going through, there's hope. No matter what you're struggling with, there is healing. And you are not alone. I'm right there with you. And we're doing this thing called life together. And pretty soon, it's going to be more than half of a broken piece of a life.